Welcome back to Hannity. The president is once again going after Christians. Now, yesterday, during a panel discussion on poverty at Georgetown University, the president once again lectured faith-based groups focusing on issues like abortion and gay marriage instead of the poor. Watch this.
I think it would be powerful for our faith-based organizations to speak out on this in a more forceful fashion. This may sound self-interested because there have been, these are areas where I agree with the evangelical community and faith-based groups, and then there are issues where we have had disagreements around reproductive issues or same-sex marriage. There is great caring and great concern, but when it comes to what are you really going to the mat for? Like, what's the defining issue? This is oftentimes viewed as a nice-to-have relative to an issue like abortion.
Now, the president, who has won't mention Islamic extremism, remember he talks about Christians getting on their high horse, and then he said, well, sometimes Christians and their less than loving expressions. Remember this?
Remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. Slavery and Jim Crow all too often was justified in the name of Christ.
On Easter, I do reflect on the fact that as a Christian, I am supposed to love. And I have to say that sometimes when I listen to less than loving expressions by Christians, I get concerned.
Joining us now with reaction is the National Hispanic Leadership President, Dr. Samuel Rodriguez, Fox News contributor and pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffress, and also Fox News contributor, Dr. Jonathan Morris. You know, he also said the future does not belong to those who slander the prophet. He continually steadfastly refuses to mention radical Islam, but yet getting on your high horse, crusades, terrible deeds done in the name of Christ. There's something here. I don't know what it is, but he feels compelled to, go after Christians repeatedly and can't even take on radical Islam.
Well, Sean, what he did this time was very unique, and that is he tried to echo Pope Francis, who has invited us to focus on mercy, okay?
And poverty.
Yes, and poverty, and he said, instead of going over the issues like abortion and gay marriage over and over again, focus on those things. But the difference between the two is that Pope Francis then, after he talks about helping the poor, if he talks about all these things, he then says abortion is evil. He then says that gay marriage is not according to the plan of God. And here President Obama doesn't believe those things. So it's very hypocritical to suggest, hey, focus Christians on poverty, not so much on gay marriage and abortion. It's a very different thing. And here he's trying to echo the Pope, and he's not echoing him in truth.
And remember, Dr. Jeffress, this is the guy that, said he is like family to me and sat in the pulpit of this guy.
We bombed Hiroshima, we bombed Nagasaki, and we nuked far more than the thousands in New York and the Pentagon, and we never batted an eye. Because the stuff we have done overseas is now brought right back into our own front yards. America's chickens are coming home to roost. No, no, no. Not God bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human.
Dr. Jeffress, I'm a little tired of getting religious lectures from him, who sat in that pulpit for 20 years.
Yeah, I know, Sean. As I heard the president yesterday, I thought, like Reagan said, there he goes again. Look, the problem with President Obama is he treats the Bible the same way he does the Constitution. He disregards the portions he doesn't like. Look, it's true, the Bible talks about the poor, but Jesus also talked about protecting children, including the unborn. He said it'd be better to have a millstone put around your neck and cast into the sea than to hurt a child. He also talked about marriage in Matthew 19. He said marriage is between one man man and one woman for life. And if Obama is a faithful follower of Christ, that means he accepts all of Jesus' teachings, not just those portions that are politically correct.
Dr. Rodriguez, why the obsession now to attack Christianity and then conversely say the future does not belong to those who criticize the prophet, meaning Muhammad, or that, quoted in the New York Times when he went to a Muslim school in Jakarta, the most beautiful sight in the world is the call to Muslim prayer at sunset. He won't take on radical Islam. When you compare it all, it seems like he's got an axe to grind against Christianity.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think there's an idea out there that there's a gospel for liberals and a gospel for conservatives, and that's not true. There's only one gospel, the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Does Reverend Wright sound like he's preaching that gospel?
Not at all, absolutely. That's
he sounds like one of the guys that sounds less than loving that the president talked about.
It's not the gospel of Jesus that he preached. But this idea of diluting Christianity, there's an attempt by Uncle Sam. And there's an attempt to prompt Christians to be silent on issues that are critical to a biblical worldview. It's an attempt to silence Christianity. Uncle Sam wants Christians to sacrifice truth on the altar of political, cultural, or sexual expediency. And Sean, I want to remind everyone in the audience that Uncle Sam may be our uncle, but he is not our Heavenly Father. And our primary obligation is to Jesus Christ and the gospel that he gave us.
Reaction?
You know,
Sean?
I love, first of all, the fact that all of us, coming from different theological kind of persuasions or backgrounds, agree that, this is not about left or right. In the end, this is about truth, and this is about respecting the truth. And the president calls himself a Christian, and we can only trust
you think Reverend Wright, is that the level of Christianity?
I would never go to that church. But the president says that he believes that Jesus was the Son of God and divine. I can only trust him on that. But let's not.
He also told Rick Warren that he was against gay marriage.
Well, he's no longer.
Well, he changed. But
yeah.
All right, last word,
Sean.
Dr. Jeffers.
Yeah. Sean, you've got to couple this with what Hillary Clinton said, his would-be successor a few weeks ago, when she said we need to change our deeply held religious beliefs to accommodate abortion. That is why this 2016 election is so pivotal. It will determine the spiritual and moral direction of our country, and people of faith need to rise up and vote not Republican or Democrat convictions, but biblical convictions.
All right, guys, thank you both.
Sean,
Reverend, real quick.
The gospel is Billy Graham and Dr. King, righteousness and justice. It's caring for the poor and not letting the world corrupt us.
Appreciate you all being with us. Coming up, residents in California.